Hi, this is Kathleen Turner, and you're listening to Movie Meltdown.
What's up, and welcome to Movie Meltdown's Unsung Cinema. I'm Brian, and I'll be your host in this spin-off series where we welcome a guest to discuss their involvement in film, and then round out the episode with a discussion of a movie that they enjoy that maybe didn't get the respect it deserves. And in this episode, we are talking to not only a brilliant actor and comedian, but I would say one of the most recognizable women in the country. You know her, you love her, it's Milana Vayntrub. And with that, I say we get right into it as we welcome Milana and start talking movies. So usually I try to start at the very beginning, and everybody sort of kind of brings their own weird version of this journey from their childhood. Yours might be slightly different, I don't know. But, normally I ask people what, they were into as far as the arts and movies and stuff when they were young. You, from what I know, started performing really young. Were you already in the industry in some sense before you even had favorite movies?
I think movies were a part of my life, before I even knew that they were a business, for sure. Like, just, just because it was always on. And I had two working parents, and it was just how we connect. And the few VHSs we had at home were watched many, many times, and then also just, whatever was on was watched. But I had a deep, almost like familial connection to TV.
Definitely, that was most of my childhood. I think at times I was specifically told, go outside, for God's sake. So,
for sure, for sure. And there were times where I was told to sit still and just watch TV.
It is a good babysitter, more than people will admit sometimes.
For sure. I rely on it as a babysitter still.
Did you have set things that you were locked into, especially once VHS came into play? There were just, kids would just loop them, it would wear out a VHS on specific movies.
Yeah, it's so weird. The only one I can remember, I wonder if it holds up at all, but I watched it hundreds of times, was Beethoven, the movie about the Saint Bernard.
The giant dog, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but I will say, to have a movie with Charles Grodin in it, that's how can you lose there, really? Even if it's a silly kids movie, it's Charles Grodin, for God's sakes.
It's true, and it's Charles Grodin, mostly frustrated and enraged.
Which is kind of every movie, really.
Which is the best version of him.
It's, even when he's not enraged, just him overwhelmed and just... you're going to get that whether he's dealing with Robert De Niro or Muppets. Either way, he's just always kind of exacerbated. He's just, there's always something that's overwhelming him.
And there's a big, beautiful dog in it, which as a kid was all I really wanted, was just to be around dogs. And so I was, of course, always on the dog's side and had great empathy for this dog that destroyed a dinner party because it saw a squirrel or a cat or something. I'm like, yeah, that's what dogs do. It's your fault for tying it to a table. And it's not the dog's fault that it's so strong and so excited by a cat. So I never really could side with anyone else. I was always like, it's the dog is the hero, whether you like it or not. Even if the dog is creating the chaos, the dog is the hero.
That's my status now, in life. I'm just I'm always team dog. Humans do nothing but let me down. Dogs are always awesome. Even when they do something bad, you're yeah, but they're a dog. Look how cute they are. It's just, I don't know. I'm team dog.
There's one at my feet right now.
I am definitely on team dog. So
same.
Well, then I guess as you got into it, just sort of what led you into entertainment in general? Was it more theater or was it comedy, or what did you sort of start down?
Well, I started acting at a really young age. When I was 5, I started going to acting classes, and doing commercials like, Barbie commercials and Polly Pocket commercials and things like that.
The
Um,
classics, you know.
yeah, the classics, the good ones, which by the way, I cannot find online. If I challenge the internet, please, if anybody out there could find one, I would love to see it. My mom would love to see it.
One of the commercials, or you actually want a Polly Pocket at this point? Or both, I mean.
If there is a Polly Pocket out there, call me. My mother is dying for one. No, I just it's crazy that in the information age, I cannot find these like many commercials that I did with Mattel and all those.
And you see a lot of them with actors from that point. Yeah, it's weird. I've
Yeah.
seen so many actors from, 20, 30 years ago that pop up on, Burger King commercials and whatever. And like, so yeah, yours have to be out there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, internet, do your thing. Internet, if you're listening. The other thing is, I think I just really loved being on set more than I was like enamored with film at that age. I was less like, well, that's not true. I think I was taken by film with almost without like connecting the dots in some way as a young kid. Like I would watch movies about, you know, puppies or Olsen twin movies and get really moved by them or get really inspired by them without thinking of them as having actors in them. And then when I was on set, I didn't and I like loved being on set. I loved crafty, I loved makeup, I loved other actors, and I wouldn't fully connect that to like becoming a final project.
Just two planes of existence, just
Exactly,
doing
especially for a
entirely
kid.
separate things. Yeah.
This is one is an after school activity, the other is my second mom.
Well, and it's also a totally different experience because, every kid kind of has that detached version sitting in front of the TV. But like
Mhm.
when it's like when you're on the other side, you're looking at cameras and sets and Teamsters and like crafty and like you've got a whole different, point of view that is very different than what you get when you're sitting at home.
Totally.
Well, then I guess what led you to eventually you got more into comedy, right?
Hmm. Um, I think waitressing, honestly, was the first step.
You loved waitressing so much, you were like, I don't want to do anything else.
Well, I found that if I can do bits with my customers and I can make them laugh, I would leave with a higher cash amount at the end of the night. And I worked at, basically like a bowling alley. And so I was allowed to be really spunky and weird and sometimes like playfully mean. And and it really worked. It's also like how I made a lot of friends um and so that I found to be like like I'm like, oh, this is a part of my personality I want to exercise anyway. And so that was in college when I was waitressing, and also in college is when I discovered theater and what is even comedic timing, because I had never performed live before, really. I mean, I guess in like school plays, but really like I never did community theater or improv growing up or even improv in college. And so doing theater taught me comedic timing because you would hear the laugh.
Yeah.
And then
It's in person in
it
your face.
it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then for waitressing, it was also kind of immediate because it was like a numerical value was given to my performance. And that was really fun. And then after college, I dated a guy who took me to an improv show at the UCB, and I saw Brian Gallivan perform. He got the suggestion Hollywood Bowl, and he started the scene with I'm eating breakfast out of my Hollywood Bowl. And I had the reaction that probably a lot of improvisers have, which is like, wait, this is a thing, and they're making this up, and there are no lines to memorize, but they are just like, and this is a skill you could learn. They have classes for this. And so I did that, and again, it's like how I made most of my friends out of college, and then started making internet videos with the friends that I made in that world, and that's how I got my reps, and everything kind of came from improv with great credit to the UCB.
Definitely. And that's such a weird world in and of itself, because it's like there's so many different versions of it out there and so many different people trying completely different approaches, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's a lot to deal with. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Sometimes it's like more work for the audience because
Yeah.
it's like the audience is like, we have to perform laughter now.
I
Yeah, that's
guess that's
my
what we
nightmare.
do.
Like we have to, it's our job. I guess that's where the laugh comes in, and it's our job to do that. That's our cue.
This is comedic timing. We laugh now.
Yes, the audience has a greater sense of it than the performers sometimes, for sure. And that is also like, that's also like almost a spiritual lesson in like what may happen. Who knows what we will channel and what will come out of our mouth in this moment. And sometimes it's great and sometimes it's a learning experience. And sometimes you're on a high and you've got like many amazing shows. And sometimes you're in a slump, which is very real, where you're like, for some reason, when I'm on stage, I'm panicking and I can't think of a next thing to say, and I'm barely listening to what the person in front of me is saying, and I'm only panicking. And then that is like also an insane life lesson in managing anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, not just on stage, but also your day-to-day life. Whether
Exactly.
you're a waitress or you're at a business meeting, like it's
Exactly.
just figuring that out, I guess.
And how to like channel anxiety as life force. I had a friend suggest that I take beta blockers and I took them once on set not so long ago, and I was like, "Oh, my anxiety is gone. Oh shit, my life force is gone." Like the thing that I have learned to work with that allows me to spontaneously generate is gone. And so it's not for me, but I probably have a different kind of anxiety that doesn't respond to that. I'm sure it works for a lot of people.
Specifically in that scenario, it's like, yeah, part of that is what's fueling you in a performance mode, It's in
Yeah.
anything live particular, you're going to be like fueled by that. So yeah, I don't know. We sometimes over medicate our system anymore.
Do you think so? Do you think some of us
I
perhaps are
question a
over-medicated?
lot. As I've said to many people I know, all of which were on drugs, that I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, because that was my thing. It's like I'm not mentally stable, but I feel like learning to manage it is part of it. Like, if you're just
Yeah.
completely blocked of it and then all of a sudden you run out of those drugs, like your brain does not know what to do. Like, so I think that some people need them. I'm not cursing them as a whole, but
No, and there may be times in my life where like my anxiety isn't driven by performance, but it's driven by, you know, uh, real life stressors where I'm like, yeah, I just want this to go away. I don't need to be quirky right now. I don't need to be clever in this moment. What I need is to calm my body, and in that moment, it'll be very helpful. But I have learned to use it as jet fuel, and I like, yeah, now I just almost like it and crave it and want to perform live and want to be put on the spot to see what comes out.
there's a balance there. That's what we're all looking for.
That's right.
Well, that you mentioned the internet videos. That's something I was kind of wondering too. Is like, just since you started, you at least had the option of internet videos, which, back in the olden days, nobody even had that. But even
Hmm.
since you started doing it, it has changed so much. So,
Hmm.
I don't know, what do you even think of the market as it is now, of just everybody just throwing stuff out on the internet?
I think it is. I mean, when I was starting it, it felt like a little bit like garage bandy. Like, okay, everyone's got a band, and some of the bands are gonna hit, and some of them aren't. Um, but now it feels like just like having a business card. It's like
Basically.
everybody's got to have something that they can send somebody else to show them that they can do something, and there's no reason to not have it, or at least the excuses that we used to have about not having footage don't exist anymore because our cameras on our phones are so good and we can edit for free and we can do like amazing post effects for free. And now we're AI generating music. Like there's in some ways it's, for better or worse. I think honestly that in some ways this exists in every industry. I've seen like how annoyed small business owners are that now they need to be content creators, let alone performers need to be content creators, you know?
That's true.
Um, and also this is true for other businesses where like everyone needs to wear a lot more hats. Like you're not really just a graphic designer anymore. You're also an animator, you're also an AI image creator, you're also maybe a web developer, you know, like and that's true for actors and probably also writers and maybe also stand-ups now is that like you're not just doing stand-up, you're also editing your videos now and putting them online and having like a social media strategy. At least when I was starting, and you know, this was maybe a decade ago, it
Back
was
in the
really
old
just like
days.
it was fresh YouTube days. It was really like how do you make something good and work with other people that perhaps have a following so that you can slowly suck and drip out of their following into your following and then hopefully retain them. And now it feels very much more about like, can you make something that the algorithm likes that has a momentary virality to it and then keep followers from that? Which, if you have the drive and the energy to do, I think works for people.
Yeah.
It does get people cast in things and it does get people to fill theaters and they can tour and you know, I think people are a little bit more they're more wild westy than they've ever been because the systems that we've relied on to hire us are less reliable.
Just the Wild West now resets itself every few years. Like I remember those
Yeah.
early days of the internet, it was the Wild West and people did whatever they wanted back then. Then a system came into play and kind of set some boundaries. And then 5 years later, those boundaries didn't apply anymore. It's Wild West again. Like,
Yeah,
but yeah,
totally.
you really do have to like just manage so many different things to even compete. I think it's just keeping your head above water now. You have to do everything. So it's
Which I actually feel the most resentful about now that I am like just a little bit more tired. I'm like, I just don't want everybody to always have to have a business all the time.
yeah.
I would really love for us to just be like, okay, we're a species that inherited this planet. Like, can we just chill the fuck out? Do we all
That's what
need to
I'm
be
saying.
business people all the time? Can we just enjoy that we have natural wonders around us? Or can we just go sit in a warm body of water more regularly that was gifted to us by the earth?
That's going
Must we
outside. I don't know
be
about that. I
yeah,
mean,
just go outside. Find a body of water and rest in it. And that may that be as rewarding to you as your Bitcoin, you know. And it's I think my resentment comes from like how expensive and mandatory life requires us to be working all the time, and I want us to be resting and enjoying more.
I definitely am on board with that. There are many times now when I'm like, I just need to stop for a little while. Can I just sit down for a minute? So
You feel like
I'm
you're
all
doing
for
a
that.
lot.
I don't know. Doesn't everybody? Like
Yeah.
it's out of control. And I've gotten to that point too. I'm just like, sometimes it's okay. Just go take a nap. You'll be fine. You'll carry on after that. It's okay.
Yeah, that's maybe real adulting. They say that like adulting is like being able to manage your bills while also exercising, while also keeping a clean house, while also staying on top of your job. And I'm like, no, I think real adulting is taking care of your body and mind and friendships and relationships.
Setting limits when you need to set limits and
Yeah, that's
coming to
real
terms with
adult
that. Yeah.
behavior. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think most people got that in general.
Yeah, I'm working on it still.
Well, you mentioned the outdoors. I was going to get into at least a few of the movies specifically. So that my first thought in putting this together was, well, we definitely need to talk about Werewolves Within. So
Okay.
that, I mean, just I went back and rewatched it, and like the setup for that, like it's almost you're being lured into a trap, and pretty much with your
Mm.
character, because it spends that first 15-20 minutes just making her maybe the coolest person ever. Like, so was that a lot? Did you feel that reading it before you even made the movie, or and then as you're in the middle of this, it's like, is this a weird scenario to be like turned into this? Again, it was just such an idealized person in general that I'm like, no, nobody's this cool. Which, yes, I know that kind of
Oh.
plays into the movie, but
Yeah, I mean, I think there is that like, not that she's a manic pixie dream girl, but she's a little bit of a dream girl. And she's a little bit of like a cool girl. Like my needs don't matter. I'm happy with whatever. Just put me up in whatever room you got? Um,
she is low maintenance.
she's very low maintenance, as we like our women to be. Um, yeah, I think of that story as actually like, and you know, Josh Rubin and Mishna Wolf, who wrote the movie, um, have never talked to me about this. And in fact, when I bring this up to them, they kind of look wide-eyed and like pat me on the back, like, okay, hysterical much? But I think of this as like a wildly feminist story of like a woman who, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to give away too much, but like a
It's
woman
yeah, it's up to you. I
who comes across as like a perfect woman, a perfect girl, super easygoing, happy with whatever, but is actually like incredibly hurt and taking out her anger on people who are like literally fucking the earth and hurting other women. Like the people she takes out are the people who cross lines, who don't listen to people when they say no means no, and insert a giant phallus into the earth to suck oil out of it. It's very allegorical to me. And I don't think was anyone's intent. I think they're like, let's just make this giant statue look like a phallus because it's funny. And I'm like, oh, I get it because it's Mother Nature is being. And I just added so much feminist morality to it that I'm not sure was intended, but I liked to drive that into the character.
well, definitely as you're saying that, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yes, it's a lot of that with you, but I think the overarch in this really doesn't come into play in the way that the movie plays out. But definitely by the end, and that was one of the other cast I was going to bring up, is Catherine. By
Mm.
the end, we get to her character and kind of just coming to terms with that same thing. We're like, why am I catering to you idiots, in particular, all these stupid men that come into my place? So, like,
Yeah.
watching her character, I think by the end is maybe more, because again, yours goes through a lot of other stuff, but hers is a little more like real world of like, no, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm done with all of you. So, yeah, there
Yeah.
definitely is a
And in like
vein of that.
a triangle of sadness kind of way. She's like, wait, I have all the power. Like I have a place to stay and I have food and I'm housing all of you ungrateful motherfuckers.
Exactly.
Which is again, which is kind of like very evolved feminine. I think my character was more, you know, toxic feminine.
Yeah, she's got some issues, we'll say.
Got a little bit of, got a problem. She's got some unresolved shit.
But yeah, you mentioned the go outdoors. So where did you shoot that, and how outdoors? How much of that? Because it's built. So much of that movie is just the scenery and the cold and the trapped and
Yeah.
all of it. So how much
We
of that
shot it in
was
the
real for
cold.
you?
Really, most of it. I think they did add snowfall here and there, and they added, wind machines and things like that. And I remember them like retouching up our snow for continuity. But we did shoot it in upstate New York in February. So a lot of it was real. And we stayed at little creepy cabins and um, some people actually stayed at that inn. I think maybe the producers like slept in rooms at that inn that we shot in.
Did it work well horror wise for you? Are you a horror fan?
I'm uh, so loud when I'm afraid.
Well, that's just endearing, right?
I
I guess that's the
saw
question for whoever's
I,
sitting next to you,
I saw weapons in the movie theater,
which is awesome.
which is awesome. And like yes, in retrospect, I loved. But during the movie, I yelled so many times, and I was sitting between two friends that I would grab onto, subconsciously. I didn't even know I was yelling. But while I'm watching the movie, I'm going, why am I doing this to myself? Who needs this? For what? I could be laughing. I could be at a comedy. I could be watching Superman. Why am I doing this? And then afterwards, I'm like, wow, what a trip. I think it's like going on a roller coaster. It's like, are you a roller coaster person while you're on it? Sometimes you're like, fuck, why am I doing this? But some people could be like, woohoo! And some people could be shitting themselves and then afterwards be like, let's do it again. I think that's how I feel about horrors. While I'm watching it, I'm like, why of all things? Like my life isn't stressful enough. I have to put myself through this synthetic fear. And then afterwards, I'm like, what a ride.
It is exhilarating if it's well done. I think that kind of helps too. Something like that is so well done that it really is a ride. That
Yeah.
that one I do feel like you're better for on the other side. You know,
And
it's
Werewolves Within is a comedy horror.
yeah, it's
It's a
definitely
it's a
fun.
delightful horror. I think like teens could watch it and not have nightmares, you know?
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. But yeah, weapons is heavy. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, a
Still kind of
lot.
fun though, really.
Oh my God, so fun. So fun. Unless you're sitting next to me. I
Well,
think the problem though too is that I yell and so I just frighten more people around me. It's just yes, I will watch it, but I just shouldn't watch it in the company of strangers or
as long
friends.
as your friends are still friends afterwards, you know, it's part of the experience.
I appreciate your empathetic approach. You seem like a good guy.
Well, and I think the filmmakers would want that, you know? It's like horror in particular, like they want that. And that's one of the few things that I think still works in the theater now is, you know, comedy and horror. And you feed off of the people around you and it kind of heightens the whole experience that, you know, you don't really get
Mhm.
that from dramas and stuff. It's just those two, you know, subgenres that kind of feed off of that.
An audience. I
Well, one of
agree.
the other ones I wanted to get to, I did watch Bad Shabos recently.
Mhm.
That cast is pretty amazing. So, what was your
Yeah.
take on? And again, how is it? Is Catherine just following you around? Because she's, I was like, why is she in this too? Don't get me
I
wrong,
wish
I
she,
love her.
yeah, I wish she would follow me. We're talking about Catherine Curtin, who is, I mean, she's a blessing to everything she's a part of. She's so passively funny. And she's like a star of stage and screen and the nicest person ever. I just adore her.
I
And
can actually agree with you, but I had her on the show years ago when she had come to a premiere of a movie that was shot near me, and she got on stage afterwards and gave this speech that was like so like it was inspiring. It was like she got up there was like because this was a little indie movie and she got in this whole thing about, you know, supporting independent film and going out
Mhm.
there and finding a place for them and building a community to put these together and by the end was just like so worked up and had the crowd worked up and I was like this is an amazing woman. So yes, she's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and she totally puts her money where her mouth is in that she does all those indies and she works with new creators and she's just so the real deal. She's
And,
really in it because she loves it and she's so good at it.
and yet also, you know, you can find her on, you know, the biggest streaming TV series in the world right now. So it's like when
Yeah.
she's also on Stranger Things, I'm like, well, she's kind of everywhere. You have to
She's
know where to
perfect.
find her.
I'm gonna ask her to marry me.
That
I'm
might
gonna
that might
propose.
go.
I'm gonna
She's
propose.
it seems like a plan. But yeah, like Kira Sedgwick and David Paymer and like just that whole
Oh,
cast was amazing. Like
yeah,
Method Man.
and
I did not expect Method Man to be so damn charming. Like what is up with
he's
that?
the my favorite part of the whole movie.
He's so much fun.
He's epic. He's epic. And he had these improvs and he was beatboxing in the elevator. And I'm like, I wish I could bring so many people along to this experience because it would mean so much to everyone I went to high school with to just be sitting next to Method Man while he beatboxes. Um, and yeah, he's just like a just built to be a performer.
And so different from I remember seeing him as he was like coming into the music scene and like with such a different mode and like not doing anything all that different than you would expect someone coming into it from where he came from. And then
Mhm.
you watch him sort of broaden his horizons and spread his wings, and like now you see him and he's got a streaming show now, and I'm just like, he's built a whole new career out of this like entirely different persona that's now
Yes.
kind of flourishing.
Yes. Yeah, he's brilliant. I mean, he's just so special. And they're like that movie would not be what it is without him because the movie is about a family that accidentally kills somebody on Shabbos. And I think,
Like you do. I mean,
you know,
how many
you know how
times have
you
we,
know how we're accidentally violent all the time?
oops,
Whoops, I slipped and killed a man.
it
And
happens.
it's a comedy. We can do these things. But I think mm, his name is Cliff, but Method Man slash Cliff's participation in it, his character's participation in it, like gives us all a pass because he gives us a pass because he's on board. The audience, I think, comes on board more. Um, like he's like the cool older brother or older uncle that's like, okay, it happens, which makes the audience feel that way. So yeah, I just really think that was some clutch. There was a lot of clutch casting. Kira Sedgwick as the mom is like so perfect. She's so beautiful and brought this like very grounded, likable, neurotic Jewish mom ism to it that isn't annoying.
She
And
does manic very well, but like a
yeah,
reserved, like normal mom version of manic.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's true. And David Paymer too. I mean, the whole cast was really such a gift. Megan Leathers, who plays Megan, um, is, also the outsider that approves or like jumps on board to protect. And she's somebody that I hadn't seen a lot before, but I think is like one of the breakout stars of the movie because she's also so grounded and so funny. And yeah, it's just incredible casting. The whole thing was put together really well.
and really well written. It's actually really
It is.
smartly written, but doesn't lose any of the comedy in the process.
Yeah, lots of good comedy.
Definitely.
And a great message about killing somebody on Friday night.
I mean, you got to cover your tracks. It
If you're
shows you
gonna
some of the wrong things to do along the way, but in the end, you got to make sure you stick together and come up with the right cover story. Yeah.
and just have Method Man standing by.
Definitely Method Man on your side. I mean, all right. Well, if you want, I know we have chosen a movie, so we can head into the movie segment here if you are ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
I will usually give the breakdown. So, our Unsung Cinema feature is Bad Grandpa. The year is 2013. The director is Jeff Tremaine, and the plot, according to IMDb, 86-year-old Irving takes a trip from Nebraska to North Carolina to take his 8-year-old grandson Billy back to his real father. That's not too far off. I'll give him that. So, I suppose, spoiler alert, I don't know how much you can spoil this kind of a movie, but I'll throw it out there anyway. So, I guess my first question is, I threw it out to you, any movie in the world, why this movie?
It's it's one of my favorites. I think a lot of people who work in comedy will watch a comedy and kind of like watch it like a science and be like, okay, how was that edited? And what's the line that made that line work and all that? What's the timing and the camera and all that? And then in this movie, I just laugh out loud. I have and who we all need that right now. And
We
I think
certainly
part
do.
part of it is that it's my favorite thing about it is all of the real reactions. Um, so to set it up a little more, it's basically a hidden camera feature film with a real story plot. But it's shot out in the world, and there are things that are, more planted than others, but it's Johnny Knoxville, so it's jackass-esque pranks, but with
Jackass
Johnny
Presents.
Knoxville. dressed and in very convincing prosthetics as a, did you say 78-year-old man?
According to IMDb, 86.
86. Okay, as an 86-year-old man with an adorable, also incredibly convincing child, real child, who was like so on board, so down, so funny. And they put them in these impossible situations. Also, this is, what was the year you said? 2011, 2013?
2013.
Okay, 2013 it came out, so they probably shot it in like 2011, 2012. This is before everybody just had a phone and was filming everything all the time. So there are no real, like, there's not a lot of cell phone action in this.
Surprisingly, yeah, even at that point. You
Yeah,
would think more of those would come popping out, but yeah, we don't really see a lot.
but because of that, I think the audience is really surprised by a lot of the shenanigans. No one's like, or maybe if they were, I imagine that like when Borat 2 was filming, they were there were a lot more people who were like, I'm being tricked. I know this is a hidden camera show. But at the
Yeah.
time, people really bought into it. And so the reactions from people who are watching this old man lay on a what are they called? Like one of those mechanically adjustable beds and watch that bed haywire with this old man in it. Their reactions are golden. Like they are acting lessons in themselves. And you watch those reactions and you go, oh, that's not how actors act when they're surprised. This is only how people act when they're surprised. And so I love watching those reactions. I also find the story to be quite heartfelt. And even the character the actors that are plants, that are actors, are so good in it. And and then the actor filmmaker part of me is also really I don't know if you're like this, but I have a pitch to the entertainment industry. After every movie, have the option of a documentary about the making of the movie.
Well, I mean, they kind of have that because also in watching this, I watched the Point Five. Have you seen that?
No.
There is a, because I picked it up thinking, I was like, oh, is this the movie? And it is called Bad Grandpa Point Five, because I guess they don't even pretend like it's actually a sequel. But essentially, they shot so much footage. It was like 60 days of them just going out day after day filming this just to catch some stuff that works, some stuff that doesn't. And like they shot so much. This is basically like feature length, but it's all the other stuff they shot. So there's
Oh
essentially
my
like, so
God.
for you, this is the dream project because it's a whole nother movie essentially that
Oh
is
my
just
God.
more of that footage. The only thing that's different is this one is more traditional Jackass style because you see a lot more behind the scenes. So you'll see him sitting there beforehand going, well, we were going to try to get this shot. So it's a little more interview beforehand. You watch it go good or bad. And then they come back and go, yeah, well, that didn't work. So it doesn't have the narrative that like leads you through like the movie does, but it's definitely the same people, the same characters, the same people behind the scenes putting this nonsense together. So it's very it's a different vibe because you don't have the story. But yeah, if you're looking for more reactions from people, there is a whole nother 90 minutes waiting for you.
Oh my God.
So there you
I
go.
thank
You have
you.
immediately when we're done, you're out to tear out and buy some physical media. Because I didn't see it streaming. Like the movie comes up streaming, but I think this was something they just put out on physical media. So again, I'm
Wow.
usually pushing people to go buy some physical media. So points
Okay.
to them for putting it out.
Wow. That's so cool. That's so cool. That's exactly what I always want with every movie. This is,
It
and now it exists for my favorite.
exists. See, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe they
How did
heard
you like the
you.
movie?
What's weird is I hadn't seen it. I feel like I'd watched at least the first Jackass movie, maybe in the theater. I can't remember. It's sad at this
But it's
point.
so different than a Jackass
But
movie.
it's definitely different. Again, like you get the Johnny Knoxville vibe more or less, but the thing that sets it apart, and that's what, because I was watching it and I'm going through and I'm like, is the narrative necessary? Because that was the big difference. And I'm like,
Hmm.
do we need that? Because it's still bits essentially. So we're still like every time they stop, you could just it's just a different skit from, much like the Jackass show. It would just be like
That's
every
true.
minute they'd go to another thing. So I'm like, but as it went on, it at least gave it momentum and gave it, and like I said, I think I liked it better presented that way than watching the documentary version of it. It's different. Like again, it kind of breaks it, and it kind of makes them seem a little more like jackasses, no pun intended. But like you see them setting it up, and you see them being like these jerky guys that just want to cause problems with each other behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Where you take all of that out within the context of the movie, like he's not purposefully doing this. These things just keep happening to him. So from the storyline. But yeah, I think the main thing that carries it through for me is Billy, and not necessarily even the narrative, but that kid, this Jackson kid.
Yeah.
He's so real. Like he can carry out the performance, and like you can, because most kids knowing that they're acting would get in there and like mess something up or like would break character. He never
Yeah.
really has character. He is still essentially himself, but he also
Right.
comes off like super genuine while being committed to whatever dumb thing they're making him do. So it's like he is so good at carrying the stuff that they're throwing him into that like you totally buy it, and he still seems like a real kid.
Yes. I read somewhere that he met Johnny Knoxville on another project
I
and
think it's
just kept
Fun
like,
Size.
oh, they met on Fun Size.
I think he was
And
on Fun Size with him, yeah.
and he just kept like hitting him in the nuts.
Which seems about right. And again,
Yeah.
if anything will endear you to Johnny Knoxville, that's probably it. So, but
Yeah, it's like someone else fucking with him.
well, I mean, they gave it a name eventually. They called it the Jackson Five. His five fingers
Oh,
going in.
that's very nice.
So he's like, hey, you like the Jackson Five? And then anybody on the set would get a Jackson Five. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
A nightmare. But
Yeah.
also, I and I don't even have testicles. I'm just so deeply compassionate. I just think you have to like find a kid who really loves fucking with people. Like and he does. He just found a kid who like wants to do this. Also, this child, this is what I'm really curious about. If like how do we get this guy on the phone? Like what's his name? Jackson Nickel,
Yeah.
who was maybe like 10 or 12 at the time. Um like, how do we get that guy on the phone now? What's he doing?
Well, I was going to
What's he
say,
doing
have you
12 years
seen him
later?
now? Because I only
No.
just in doing it's sad that I did as much research on Bad Grandpa as I did. I don't know that anyone planned on ever doing research on Bad Grandpa, but I did go down many a rabbit hole, and one of which was it's really funny that the opening of this movie is him like, can we go fishing? And like all he wants to
Yeah.
do, he's convinced he's trying to tell Grandpa they need to like move to Japan and start working for a fishing company, and like
Yeah.
this the whole time is like I just want to go fishing.
Yeah.
That's all he did. As a grown up, like basically all I found was his Instagram, and his Instagram is just him out on a big boat, like fishing with
Yep.
people, holding up fish on can. It's just all
I'm
these
scrolling through
posts.
it now.
Yeah, it's all
I would
fishing.
they maybe pulled that from real life.
I know the kid really liked fishing.
It's really just a guy and a bunch of big fish
And then
consistently.
at the very end, he gets engaged. So now he's
The
all
happy
look, he's all
ending.
grown up and stuff. What the hell?
But you know what? It seems like he turned out like pretty normal.
I know, surprisingly, because usually you get this kid that's that talented this early and throw him in the middle of this, and then it just becomes a train wreck. But no, he seems like he had like a normal life at some point. So that's awesome.
The the scene that I think about when I imagine him being of broken grown up is the scene where he is the beauty pageant scene where
Yeah.
for those
That's the
that
one I
haven't
was
seen
like,
it,
I don't know that they would do now.
no, I don't think they would. Also, like what were his parents thinking? But honestly, it seems like they just like knew their kid. I have a 4-year-old boy, and I could see like it's not necessarily his style, but I could see how he could be into it. And especially if he wants to be an actor, he's like how much of this was like pressured onto him and how much of this was like a hell yes from the child.
I
But
think you
there's a
could
scene.
tell if he was being forced in that scene in particular, because he gets up there and he's such a ham
He's
that you're just
so
like, oh my
happy.
God, he's just having a ball doing it. And like, yeah,
And
I
he
don't,
learned the choreography. Like part of the behind the scenes that they play when they run the credits is this boy. Okay, so in this scene, uh, the grandpa learns that there's a big cash prize at this beauty pageant. So they enroll this boy in a girls' beauty pageant in drag. And he, first of all, fucking crushes it. Like every other element of it, he's better than all the little girls who are professional pageant girls.
which by the
And
way, that main girl is creepy. The one they
so
keep going
creepy.
to. I'm like, oh, this is like all of those bad documentary shows about pageant girls. She is like the center of it all. Like, she is so creepy.
Yeah, that reporter must have been a plant and they did such a
I
good
think
job.
she
I mean,
was.
that's
Yeah.
like that's good filmmaking to be like, okay, we're gonna need to get like I'm like, what is the pre-production here? Is that they're like, we're gonna want to get interviews of the little girls, and all these little girls are probably gonna want to talk to a female reporter. So let's get like a pretty female reporter to walk around with a camera and do something for the local news. And again, this is like 2011, and so all these little girls want to be on the local news. And this is now where moms would be like, no, we don't want this footage to live forever. We know that that's what happens. But in 2011, they're like, sure, make my little girl famous. And and then yeah, she's creepy. Her mom is
Oh
also
yeah.
creepy.
Well, she looks
Oh,
just like her. Like, you can see she is the mini me to her. Like, it is so disturbing.
but Jackson is doing the sexy walk. He's dressed in like a little sailor outfit. And then, oh, he starts singing some like little sailor song. I don't remember what it was. Do you remember what it was?
He does it again later in the crew starts singing it to him, and then he starts doing the dance, but I can't, something, I don't remember. Yeah, it's like
Something
an old
about
timey, yeah,
yeah,
it's
it
like
starts
public
as like an
domain at
old
this point.
timey and then ends as like Def Leppard, where he rips off his little sailor girl outfit and underneath is a bra. He keeps his wig on, but underneath is like he does a full stripper outfit on a pole, a whole dance number. And and everyone in the audience is like covering their eyes, covering their children's eyes. There are judges who are shocked. Although I did see in one bit of like red carpet interview with the director, where he did say one of the judges knew. And so I think they had like strategic plans throughout where one person would know to help the others like play along.
Here's one that as specifically by the time you got to that scene, I was watching it going, because as I'm going through, I'm also playing the like real world game of like, how the hell did they do this and where did they?
Yeah.
So when we got to that one, by the end, I was like, is the whole thing they're doing? Like, did they so far in advance, like they put up flyers, they set this whole thing? And I don't know this for sure. I'm just like,
Mhm.
because they seem to have such a handle on what was going to happen. Like, again, maybe the other judges didn't even know. They just hired people thinking they were coming in to judge a beauty pageant. And like,
Mhm.
all of the moms got, they just signed up like normal, and every other one of these they do. So like, I was trying to decide if they just completely fabricated the entire beauty pageant so that then at least they don't feel bad ruining someone else's beauty pageant. They made it up, so it's okay if they ruin it. Like,
Well, he said that the director said in this red carpet interview that none of the reactions are staged.
no, I
So they
believe
didn't
that.
even really use the reactions of people who know.
Yeah. And I don't think there were that many. I think it was just mostly the crew people that they needed to have the cameras running. But yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like most of the people in all the sets were, yeah, pretty genuine reactions.
Yeah. So impressive. Such impressive filmmaking. I'm like, I wish there was a way to like do this again and I could be a part of it.
I mean, you could. It's a
I
little
want to
more
be
difficult
Billy.
now, but
It is. Yeah.
the thing that's maybe most impressive, and this was the funniest part when I got to this in all the facts about this, they're literally on the rundown says the first Jackass movie to receive an Academy Award nomination. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, there's a
Well,
statement you didn't expect ever to see, but it's
I
for
mean, Borat
makeup. And
Borat
it's
2 was
so
nominated.
damn good. Like,
Yes. And they used the same makeup team as Borat 2 used. I don't know if Borat 1 used the same one, but there is a very special little office, like an hour and a half outside of LA, that does all of this incredible special effects makeup. And I had to go there once for a job, and they have the Johnny Knoxville face in the in the
legendary.
display. Well, it's what they were nominated for.
I mean, they kind of needed to be. I think it's like 11 different prosthetics, it said, and like a 3-hour process every morning that Johnny was on the behind the scenes complaining about because that's his least favorite part.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And
so
it's not just like it works on camera. It had to work in real life. It had to be really good.
which they even in the behind the scenes they're showing the stuff because they came up with Irving like back when they first started Jackass, and they're showing the old stuff, and the old stuff looks like bad prosthetic makeup. Like it looks like
Mhm.
somebody dressed up like an old person, which they've been doing for years in movies, and a lot of them you can even go back and watch and be like, oh yeah, this looks like a whole bunch of makeup on this person.
Right, right.
Whereas they show it in like the first movie, and they show it in the second movie, they bring him back, and it gets a little better. But yeah, by the time you get to this, like it's pretty convincing. Like I think you would be able to trick a lot of people even standing in front of
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. And that is why it's my favorite movie.
them.
Maybe top five, but it is really special. And like I said, it's just rare. First of all, comedies are just so much rarer, but to have something that really makes you laugh out loud by yourself at home, it's one of those for me.
And I spent so much time trying to figure out the behind the scenes of it, of just like how did they get insurance for this movie? Like,
Yeah, I bet they winged a lot of it. Or like when they mess up the motorcycles, when he
oh
crashes into the
Lord. Which
motorcycles.
I was like, did they buy all those and plant them there? I would hope, because yeah, how do you cover those costs if it was
Yeah.
somebody's actual motorcycle? So yeah, most of it was like, how much am I trying to decide what's the plant and what's not, and what are you destroying that already belongs to you anyway, and you just set it up there the day before, and like,
Yeah.
but
So
like the
fun.
one when he catapults himself through a plate window, which I'm sure was breakaway glass, but
I'm
still, I'm
sure.
watching it going, you don't know that somebody's not going to get hit with something in that. I was like, they're pretty far away, but you don't know that's going to happen in the moment. I was like,
Yeah.
how the
And
hell
there's
did
such like a business around it. There's so many people. There's vendors
so
outside
many
selling things.
people?
So I'm like, how did all those people get there? And how did they not see them replace that glass or put in breakaway glass or, how did they ever test? Did they never test this?
Probably not. Again,
Yeah.
knowing how much they wing so much of their lives, that like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe not. Which again is kind of impressive that there's not a horror story behind this of like Johnny Knoxville
Exactly.
dead or some stuntman got killed, or like we see that occasionally in movies, and surprisingly it's not this one, because some of it I don't know how they, at least not all of them are like death defying. It's just he's gonna get beat up a lot of times. There's many a time I'm like, yeah, I know Johnny's okay with getting punched in the face because that's almost like a badge of honor if he suckers somebody that much. But
Hmm.
there's definitely moments when I'm like, oh yeah, he's pretty close right here. Like,
I wonder, like, how all of the injuries and concussions have affected him now. And he's probably like 50 now, right?
yeah, I think he's definitely in his like 50s, and I thought they were gonna stop because I thought he literally had like it had become like a brain injury that like he's still
Hmm.
functioning, but like there was some, because I do remember seeing an interview with him that like he was out of commission for like a year or more of like
Mm.
trying to go through, I think, mental therapy to some extent, and definitely physical therapy, because it was affecting his basic process, because he'd taken
Of
so many
course.
hits to the head that like he
Yeah.
literally had
And to just like the
concussions.
shoulder and the hip and the knee and all of the normal things that start hurting when you're 50.
That I can understand just from all the abuse he's taken over the years. But yeah, I think it got to the point of like enough concussions had taken a toll on his brain that,
Yeah, he's a
yeah, I'm
football
like,
player.
you should probably, yeah, just it's okay. Do some more regular acting, because I actually like him in other stuff lately.
Me too. Me too.
I've
I love it.
that reboot series he was really good in. Like I like that. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I like your regular acting. It's okay. You don't have to hit yourself in the head with stuff. I mean,
must hit self in head. He just can't stop. He just does it at every audition.
looking at his list of stuff lately, it was funny. I was hit and miss on that History of the World Part 2, but casting Johnny Knoxville as Rasputin is maybe the most genius moment of the whole thing. As everyone's continually trying to kill Rasputin. Of course it's Johnny Knoxville.
That's perfect casting.
But yeah, I don't know. I think so much of that is sort of built around the reaction and how much they plan stuff out ahead of time, because it is interesting going back and watching it after, if you see that behind the scenes stuff, because the behind the scenes version of it, there's almost nothing with the kid, because I think there's so much, speaking of the insurance, I'm sure there's so much of the stuff that they can't even have the kid around. Like all the times Johnny smacks the car into something, he can't even be in the car. So
Right.
like the behind the scenes version of the him hitting the penguin, he's not even in the car. There's a dummy in the spot next to them. So when that guy comes out and starts giving him grief, eventually the stuff that's not in the theatrical cut, he goes in and like, he doesn't even question why there's a child-sized dummy in the seat. The guy yanks the dummy out and starts flinging it around at Johnny as he's arguing with him. So like, there's all this weird cut around that they do successfully in the movie that, like, now watching it when he goes over to the car and says to Johnny that an insert shot of him like, hey, watch this. And I'm like, dude, he wasn't anywhere near that car. So like, they do such a convincing job of cutting out the real world stuff that was like, again, it's pieced together better than you would expect a movie that, you know, oh, it's a Jackass movie, but their editing is pretty impressive.
Oh my God, their editing, yeah, it's unreal. And it's perfect.
Including editing out one of the more talented actresses out there. I mean, the dead body is supposed to be Catherine Keener, who is in a lot of the behind the scenes version. They shot a bunch of bits with her, but
yeah,
they took her out of the movie.
That must have been what happened.
So most that you see her is a dummy that's made to look like her, that's being toted around. Like,
Yeah, she's in a lot of the behind the scenes and not in a lot of the movie.
but yeah, there's a good amount. There's several scenes of her in that other movie that you're gonna run out and buy now. So you do get to see her as you know, being the, and again, she's so serious in most of her roles. So seeing her hanging out with these dorks, making these ridiculous
Living my dream.
Exactly.
I want to be cut out of a prank
stole
movie.
your life. Damn it. But that was interesting. I think that to me was maybe the most fascinating, because again, the weirder sex jokes and the scatological humor, I think I got over pretty quick. To me, the way more interesting stuff was the dead body stuff. When I'm like, when you're coming face to face with that as one of these people that doesn't know, and they're like, okay, like you just see them trying to process in the moment of like, how do I deal with this? And then how do I get out of this scenario? Because this guy's got a dead body. I could be next. Like,
you're talking about the scene where he hires movers to move a body. I think about like, how many movers did they have to bring in for this? Like, how many different people did they call? How much did they pay them to put a body? And he even says at the end, he's like, well, I had to say I needed you to move a bed because if I had said dead body, I don't think anyone would have answered. And they're just like, fuck you, dude. Like, they take the money at the end and they're just like, fuck you. I can't believe you made us do that.
You've got the little kid going, thanks for the crime. Thanks for doing the crime.
Yeah,
Like,
thanks for the crime.
I was like, yeah.
And then I also imagine their relief when they say, you know, this is a hidden camera show, because they have to get them to sign something, I'm sure. And that must be a joy for them too. I love that I started this out by being like, I'm totally engrossed in this movie and I don't think about the behind the scenes. And I'm like, no, wait, actually, I'm always thinking about the behind the scenes. I'm thinking about the pre-production and the post-production constantly when watching this movie.
I definitely was.
Yeah.
The thing that's impressive, there's hardly any people blurred out. So that means they got almost everybody to sign this waiver that
I
I'm like,
think
were they
that's the
paying
beauty.
after the fact?
Yeah,
I was like,
maybe.
they
But
had to have
also,
been.
that's the beauty of 2011.
There's one lady in the bingo scene that's blur out like right in
Oh
the
my
center, and I'm
God,
just
that
like, either
bingo.
this old lady just didn't want to have anything to do with you guys, or she just like disappeared on them. They're just like she was gone. Like
Yeah, they just couldn't get her to sign.
they were just like, where did this lady go?
She's just
Like,
like, I can't be on camera for other reasons.
but everybody else, like no matter if they're like in the middle of the strip club, which you think maybe not everybody wants to sign off that they were there, but like no, they had everybody on board, and like there's
So funny.
some crazy stuff that you're admitting you were part of. But yeah, I think the dead body one was the most interesting. And again, the cutout version they did where he had it at home, and he brought a guy out with like a backhoe to dig a hole in the backyard, again telling him it was to like plant a tree. And then he's
Yeah.
like, well, one, now that I got you here, I really just want to give my wife a home burial, can you help me carry her out there?
Yeah.
And there's like
Incredible.
two guys that do it. Like,
Incredible. Yeah. I also, I know they did this with Borat, and I wonder if this is true here, is that really you have to talk to the people about non-weird things for about 30 minutes, and then once in a while bring up something weird. And then in the edit, they just use the weird thing.
I mean, although you just run into that, because I have to say, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking of like times when I'm like, I've ended up in weird scenarios with people saying weird stuff, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I wish this was a hidden camera show, because then at least I would be relieved that this didn't just happen. But yeah, there are so many times when people will just say weird stuff in the real world, and I'm like, all right, well, whatever. It's a Tuesday. This is going on, so. I feel like they're just going with it. Be like, okay, here's a weirdo. There's a lot of
Yeah.
weirdos out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But it's also like such a example of human psychology that we are just talked into things like that, or there's enough that we can just be told like, ah, come on, just help me. Oh, well, all I need you to do is this. And people are like, okay, fine.
I think it's just the get it over with scenario. Like, there's so many people that are just like, what do I have to do to get out of this as quickly as possible? And they're like, help you? Okay, I'll help you. Here, like, let's do this. Okay, I'm buying. Bye, I'm leaving now. Like, I feel like that's how a lot of us get through those weird scenarios in real life, and they just happen to be filming these.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think I'm most grateful that every time I've had a let's just get it over with situation, it hasn't been filmed.
But yet, that's
I
your
would
dream.
prefer it.
You just want it to be Johnny Knoxville.
I guess if at the end of it it's Johnny Knoxville, then fine, film it. I will betray my morals and integrity for him.
Yeah, all right. Good to know. We've drawn the line. It's Johnny Knoxville.
That's where the line is. Well, thank you so much for having me on. This has been so fun.
I thank you for giving me a movie, and this was definitely an interesting one. And I feel like that's kind of what put this together. For me, it's like I've talked to people for years, and the more I deal with people in the real world, and the more I come in contact with, again, in those awkward, let's get it over with scenarios, there's so much I don't have in common with everyone in the world. But like, I feel like there's just so many weird people out there, and one of the few things that I can find that I connect with people on is movies. So like, I feel like that's the one thing we have, that like our love of films kind of brings people together, or hopefully does, So I
Yes.
thank you for coming along on this journey. And do you have new stuff you want to tell people about? I know there is a giant movie coming out. I didn't know if you were supposed to be talking about that.
Yes, there's a giant movie coming out called Project Hail Mary that is out on March 20th, only in theaters and in IMAX. And I think it's going to be a really, really, really good movie. It's a Ryan Gosling, directed by Lord Miller, and I think it's going to be really special, and I think it's going to be good for all ages. And I think there's a beautiful takeaway from it. It's based on a gorgeous book, and I think it's gonna be visually stunning. The cinematography, the post effects, it will be studied for generations to come. And then at one point they'll be like, oh, and Milana's in it. Somebody's gonna say that. Somebody's gonna bring it up on your podcast in like 20 years, and then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, and Milana was in that. She was on the show once.
They'll be like, oh no, remember back when she was just, she was just in that movie before she took over and, became the superstar that we all know her as. Like,
Before she revitalized that Beethoven series.
Well, no, I think that's what okay, wait, I'm piecing it together for you. So it's a hidden camera show where you take a giant dog around with you, and whatever crazy things the dogs do, you get genuine reactions. It I think we found your true calling now. Like, I think this is it. But
I'm so grateful for this time because I would never have found out what my true calling is without you.
It's all come together.
Thank you so much. Wow, this has been a beautiful experience for me. So deep.
Well, thank you for coming along on this journey. So
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Otherwise, that about does it. Thanks for listening.
This episode is a production of Movie Meltdown, produced and edited by The Oddity Studios, with music written and performed by Andrea Davidson. For more on how to sponsor or support the show, email producer@moviemeltdown.com.